Hello, I'm Karena.
And I'm Jamie. Welcome to As Told by ADHD. This podcast is a brainchild of two best friends with ADHD who share a passion for learning and a knack for finding the most fascinating tidbits of knowledge.
Each week, we embark on a wild and hilarious journey of discovery as we dive headfirst into topics that pique our curiosity. From dark folklore to bizarre statistics, cultural ceremonies to famous dead people, we're here to entertain, educate, and tickle your funny bone.
This week on As Told by ADHD, we're talking about some famous animals.
All the cute, cuddly, fun animals that have more balls than most of us, honestly.
Yep. The brave ones, the ones that are put in circumstances that they shouldn't have been put in the first place. But they did their best.
And they persevered, and they made history. And even though you probably don't know about them, we know about them. And it is our job to tell you about them so that you can tell them about them. And they'll never be forgotten.
Tell who about them? Tell them about themselves?
You were like, yeah.
Okay, but are you telling them about themselves, or are you telling other people?
Tell them about them, the animals that we're going to be telling them about.
Who's the second them? Anyway. I think we should just dive on down into it, because I'm gonna be honest, I've never been a fan of podcasts that are storytelling podcasts. I listen to a lot of true crime, and they chat for 45 minutes, and you're like, okay, I just want to hear about a murder. So we're gonna dive right into it, and then we'll chat at the end, because that's who I am as a person. Let's do that dice roll.
Dice roll, I choose odds.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's a 3.
I get to go first.
I'm so glad we broke this streak.
I know. It keeps going in streaks, though, if you, really think about it. It'll be you, then it'll be, me, and then do, re, mi.
Sorry.
Also.
Latido?
Latido. Yes, exactly. Latido with pinky. Period. Okay. So, my first animal is a penguin.
I love penguins.
Not Happy Feet, though. Not Happy Feet. We all know who Happy Feet is, okay? We're not talking about it animated. We're talking about a real-life penguin that made headlines worldwide.
Is this Pesto?
No, it's not Pesto.
I love Pesto.
I love Pesto, too, but food.
Have you not seen Pesto the Penguin?
I have not seen Pesto.
I'm going to have to send you pictures of Pesto the Penguin. He's so stinking cute.
Oh.
Anyway.
You love baby penguins. You love baby hippopotamuses, too.
Yeah.
But anyways, around 2011 on a beach near Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, an old fisherman named João Pereira de Souza found a small penguin lying on the rocks.
How did it get there?
Exactly. But it was textbook commercial for a Dawn soap commercial, because the penguin was covered in oil.
No.
Weak and starving.
No.
And obviously way far away from where any penguins are supposed to be.
Do you know from where it landed where the nearest penguins who would have been?
So we'll get into that, because since this penguin goes worldwide, they want to know where this penguin possibly could have come from and how it landed on this beach. So we have some scientists who do all the research and do all the math and all the geography and all that kind of stuff to solve this question.
Oh, good, because I hate doing that.
They do it for us. So this was obviously very unusual, because a lot of penguins live in cold southern waters type places, not really on warm tropical beaches. So the fisherman, João, he felt sorry for the bird. Obviously, it's still living, but not in good shape, and took him home. He cleaned the oil off. He was very delicate, fed the penguin small fish until he was able to become strong again. So this was about a week or so. Over a span of a week, he was just trying to help it regain its strength enough to release the penguin.
Question: if you found a penguin, would you pick it up and take it home? Or would you call somebody and be like, hey, there's a penguin. It needs help?
I would send my partner to the store while I'm on the phone with wildlife preserve agencies. I would send him to the store to get some type of soap so I can try to get it unsticky. And I would call the closest, I'll be Googling all of the closest wildlife reserves because obviously you have to take into account there's possible disease. You don't want to really take an animal out of its habitat, even if this animal was far away from its habitat. I feel like it would lose its bearings too much.
Yeah, it already lost all of its bearings. I would if I was that penguin. I think I would have an internal conflict of I really just want to take this baby penguin home and I want it to be mine. But then I'd be like, I'm not what's best for this penguin. So I think eventually I would be like, fine, let's call the nature reserve. But I would probably be like, maybe.
I instinctually would want to take care of it like you. So that's why I feel like I'll have my partner go find soap, water, and stuff like that so that we can be caring for it until we can figure out what's next. But he took him home, took care of him. He gave him a name. He decided to name him DimDim.
That's so cute.
DimDim. So the fisherman, when he was healthy enough, Joao carried DimDim back to the ocean and set him free on the same beach he rescued him from, which was a beach right off the island village of Ilha Grande. So it's very close to Rio de Janeiro. So obviously you asked earlier, how did he end up there? Joao has a theory, and then scientists also have a theory, and they actually kind of cross over. So I think Joao, being the very experienced fisherman that he is, was able to make a very accurate assumption. So he said he thought DimDim got lost while following fish. Penguins chase schools of fish for miles. They will swim after them just for the goal of getting fit. They're not going to be like, oh, this water temperature is different. Let me stop and go back or anything like that. No, they're like, food, I'm going to follow.
I have seen Happy Feet. I know they like to do that.
So, after...
Happy Feet was a documentary, right?
Yeah, duh. Duh. Everybody knows that. But he thinks that DimDim followed the fish way too far north. Warm ocean currents possibly carried him even farther, and he became exhausted, lethargic, and ran into some oil on the way, unfortunately, and got washed up on the beach. He doesn't think that DimDim meant to travel that far. He thought the ocean currents and hunger is really what got him there. Now, scientists believe the same thing because young penguins tend to wonder a lot. And so if DimDim was just following his instincts at a young age, he doesn't have a sense of, I need to make sure that I have other penguins around me. I need to make sure I have land nearby, stuff like that. The oil that he got into, unfortunately, too, was, obviously it's a disaster, but oil on feathers causes clumping, which causes the feathers to not do their job. So he's unable to stay warm and hunt.
And honestly, so I was thinking, I don't know how this little penguin made it so far without being eaten by a predator. But if it found the oil early, that probably deterred any predators. Which is really sad, but also, it probably saved this penguin's life.
Yeah, no, exactly. But we're going to question the traveling of the penguin even more later on because It's a determined little thing. It's a determined little penguin boy. So most people would expect, the story to end there. Like, oh, this man, he saved this penguin, cleaned him up, made him healthy so that he can return home. No. A few months later, the fisherman saw a penguin on the beach again. And it was DimDim. DimDim went right up to the fisherman, recognized the fisherman, went right up to him, followed him home, slept in his yard, only let Joao pet him, care for him. No one else could touch this bird. DimDim stayed for months. And then he just left again for the sea.
So, okay, was he taken back to where he was supposed to be and then came back? Or, like, where was he?
So they believe this is just like them basing off of the nearest habitat for DimDim. They said that it could either have been at the farthest 5,000 miles or closest 2,500 miles. Like, really let that sink in. Open ocean, whether it was 5,000 or 2,500, that is insane.
How fast can baby penguins swim? I need to Google it right now. One moment.
Google it right now.
15 to 30 miles per hour for 7 to 9 week olds.
That's pretty impressive.
That's impressive, but at the same time, like, that had to taken like almost a month for him to get there.
Exactly. And even if you think about it, 2,500 miles to the closest, right? That's still 5,000 miles round trip.
Yeah. That's crazy.
It's absolutely insane. So he ends up doing this every year. DimDim does this every year. Pretty much takes this on as a migration pattern. And he travels to this fisherman every year, spends months with him, and then goes home. Isn't that so sweet?
That's so sweet. I can't. Hold on.
And that's so sweet.
How long do penguins live? How old is this penguin now?
I don't know. I don't know his age. They weren't really sure of his age. They just knew that he was young. So he did this pretty much until he just didn't come anymore.
That's really oh no, that's really sad.
Well, yeah, because we don't know. I mean, honestly, I think that he would have to be like a champ. Like, this probably has to be one of the smartest penguins alive.
I mean, penguins are already smart.
They are, but I mean, to be able to come back every year, like you said earlier, avoiding danger, avoiding, all the odds being against them, traveling that far, like, there's no telling, like, the brains behind a travel like this, right?
Right.
I wouldn't be confident at all traveling 2,500 miles across ocean. Like, it's so unpredictable. But anyways, so the news gets out. It started with the neighbors, obviously, became neighborhood chatter. Then the local news starts reporting on this relationship, and soon the whole world was talking about a wild penguin who chose to visit a human friend every year. Researchers studied the pair, and they did confirm that DimDim was truly a wild penguin. He was not forced to stay. He returned completely by choice.
I like to believe that DimDim is still alive, but he hasn't visited because he now has a family and settled down.
And they do mate for life.
They do mate for life.
He did probably find his doll and just stayed around, couldn't leave the kids. And I know he probably wouldn't want to put his family in danger to travel that far.
Yeah. But imagine a little penguin road trip, but sea trip.
Sea trip, but it would be like Finding Nemo, all of the dangers of the ocean and stuff like that. But I wouldn't want that for him. So he needs to just stay home. But there's pictures of the two together all across the internet, newspaper clippings.
So sweet.
I know. It's so sweet. And you knew it was DimDim because he would always find Joao. Always.
That's so sweet.
Isn't that the sweetest story ever?
That is really sweet.
Sweetest thing ever, because he saved his life.
My first story is not as sweet, but it's about an animal saving the lives of so many people. I will be talking about the messenger pigeon, Cher Ami. I would love to give you a little brief history of why do we have messenger pigeons, or why did we have messenger pigeons? So as far back as ancient Mesopotamia, ancient Egypt, humans have been using pigeons as messenger pigeons. And I was like, well, how do like people know that pigeons are like homing pigeons? Like, you take them away from their environment, they can find their way back no matter where they are. No matter where you take them. If they've never been there before, they can find their way back, which is crazy. So in ancient Mesopotamia and ancient Egypt, they used to breed pigeons to eat, which I was like, ew. But then I've also watched Gordon Ramsay's TV shows, and he's cooked pigeons before, and he says to eat it like raw, and I'm like, absolutely not. Maybe not raw. He was like rare. That's the best way to eat pigeon. I'm good. I don't need to eat a rare pigeon. Thank you.
No, we're chilling.
Sorry, Gordon Ramsay. I'm fine. But anyway, so they used to eat pigeons, and then they started to realize if they would take the pigeons away from where they were bred, they would come back to it. And so they were like, okay, this is kind of crazy. So they started separating pigeons, and they would take pigeons places and they would let them go and they'd come back, and they started using it as messenger pigeons. And over time, it ended up being in a lot of different places. One of the most notable being in ancient Greece, they would use messenger pigeons to deliver Olympic results to neighboring cities, or distant cities, so they wouldn't have to wait for the results for the people to come back. Yeah. Because it was like such a big sporting event.
That's cool.
Right. Those are messenger pigeons. They started to kind of die out when the telegraph was invented in the 1830s.
That makes sense.
And then even more when the telephone was invented around 1870. So we started to have other ways to communicate faster, and pigeons weren't really needed as much anymore. So, which is why you see a lot of pigeons in New York City, because we didn't need them anymore, but they keep breeding and they just stay around humans because they've been bred in captivity for so long.
Wow. I really didn't know that. That's actually crazy.
I learned that when I lived there, but yeah, it's crazy. So by the 1900s, it was thought that messenger pigeons weren't really needed anymore until World War I. And if you don't know a lot of the history about World War I, I'm sure most people do, but if you don't, episode 8 actually has context of World War I. So if you want to go listen to that episode 8. So military couldn't take telegraphs or telephones on the battlefield. That would be preposterous. There's no way to like fully deliver messages while you're actively being shot at. So they would send people to get messages, like to deliver messages, but they learned very, very quickly if a person is seen on the battlefield, they will be shot down.
Pew pew. Unfortunately. A big pew pew. Yep.
That's how war works, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
Again, want to make my stance very clear. I'm anti-war forever. But anyway, sometimes they would shoot the messenger down, or they would capture them and try to get information out of them. So they were like, oh my God, we need to find a different way to deliver messages from battlefield to commanders and so on and so forth. So they were like, messenger pigeons. They're harder to shoot. They fly really fast. It's more effective. It takes less time. So they were like, back to the basics. Messenger pigeons. So the messenger pigeon I will be talking about today, his name was Cher Ami, which in French means dear friend. Cute.
It is very cute.
So Cher Ami was born in 1918 in Norfolk, England, and he was born about 1 out of 600 pigeons. That's a lot of pigeons. And then he ended up being donated to the American Army, which is how he ended up being one of the most decorated pigeons ever. Probably the most decorated pigeon ever. So, eventually, he ended up in France with a battalion of about 550 men and 8 pigeons, led by a man named Major Charles W. Whittlesley. What a fun name, though.
Whittlesley?
Whittlesley.
Whittlesley. Sounds like a Pokemon. It does.
A little bit, yeah.
Go, Whittlesley!
So, before, and this is with the American Army in France, 550 men, 8 pigeons. 2 pigeons had ended up getting lost or injured or died. I'm unsure what happened to 2 of them before this battalion got to where this happened. On October 2nd, 1981, Major Whittlesley led his men ahead of the front line. And I could not find why he did this. I searched high and low. I still don't know why he did it. The only conclusion I can rationally think of is he thought he could, honestly, probably hubris. He probably thought he could handle it. But he couldn't. So they ended up getting attacked heavily. And they were forced to hide in a ravine. They were cut off from allies. They were cut off from food. They were cut off from aid. Everything. And not knowing Major Whittlesley's battalion went ahead of them, their allies assumed that they were the enemy pushing in. So they were being attacked from both sides. Yeah. So they sent a message with the first pigeon. Immediately shot down. So, over the next...
There's some good shots. Sorry.
Yeah. Over the next several days, 4 more pigeons were sent. Immediately shot down. And they were losing hope. October 4th, 1918. 1 final pigeon remained. And Major Whittlesley was like, we have to try. So he writes a message, ties it to the leg of this little pigeon. And the message said, we are along the road parallel 276.4. Our artillery is dropping a barrage directly on us. For heaven's sakes, stop it. Attached it to the leg of the pigeon. They released him, and everybody was holding their breath. Immediately, Cher Ami was shot down. But he gets back up in the sky, and he flies as fast as he can. His little pigeon, little wings take him so fast, so far. He was shot in the chest, he lost 1 eye, and his leg was dangling off. The leg with the message attached.
Oh my gosh.
I know. He flew 25 miles in 25 minutes. Straight back to home base, where his message saved the remaining men of that battalion, which was about 190 men. And it took a couple of days for the battalion to be found, but the Allies had stopped shooting in that direction because they knew that they were over there somewhere. So at least some pressure let off. And once they were found, Major Whittlesley was heavily decorated, but so was Cher Ami. Cher Ami ended up getting the French Croix de Guerre with a palm of extraordinary bravery. He got a gold medal of the organized bodies of American pigeon fanciers.
Pigeon fanciers?
Yeah. I think that one came a lot later.
Yeah, but still, that's an interesting group, for sure.
Right. I mean, some people just fancy pigeons, and that's okay. He also got Animals in War and Peace Medal of Bravery.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, he didn't survive too much longer after his injury. He was able to make it back to America, but passed away soon after arriving. And after the war, Major Whittlesey didn't survive too much longer either, but not from any physical injuries. He was extremely depressed, and he was haunted by the war. I mean, who wouldn't be, honestly?
Hmm.
And he ended up going on a cruise in 1921. And he was last seen on the cruise chatting with other passengers at dinner. They said he seemed to be in good spirits. And then that night, he disappeared. And everybody assumed he had jumped off to commit self-unaliving, which is very sad. But his memory lives on with Cher Ami. And Cher Ami is actually taxidermied and sits in the Smithsonian National Museum of American History in Washington, D.C.
So go see it.
If you
Take a road trip.
If you're close.
Take a little road trip.
Honestly, I wouldn't fly right now because it's too expensive. But
well, yeah. But the Smithsonian is one of the places I want to visit so
same. Let's go.
bad.
Let's go. I want to go
Let's
so
go.
bad.
We can go see
right now.
Cher Ami.
I'll
Hey, little Cher Ami.
I know. So sweet. Also, if you are or anyone you know are struggling with thoughts like Charles W. Whittlesey, no, you're not alone, and there are resources that can help, and I will put some resources in the description below. Sorry that was heavy.
It was heavy, but at the same time, like, multiple hundreds of people were saved. Like, almost 200 people were saved.
Right.
You know? They went on to have families, or they did have families, and, you know, stuff like that. So, for my second story, I feel like most famous or well-known animals tend to be like dogs. Would you agree?
Yeah, like Lassie. I think Lassie was like based off of a true story, but not like very loosely. But also at the same time, like that could have been a lie told to me. So I don't know for that to be.
But there's also like police dogs, and you know, there's dogs that are used like in the military to smell out like a whole bunch of different things.
One of my favorite occupations that I've seen recently that dogs have is there's some dogs that are like just trained to be in a hospital, and they go around to all the rooms to make sure everybody's okay.
That is actually so sweet. That's one of my favorite, like the comfort dogs that are in. Yeah. So I'm going to talk to you about a dog, but this dog was 4 pounds.
Okay.
And took part in World War II.
4 pounds. So we're thinking like Chihuahua sized.
Yes. A very, very, very small dog. In 1944.
If it's a Yorkie, I'm going to lose my mind. Is it a Yorkie? No!
It's a Yorkie.
They're so hard to train. I don't know how they did this. Okay, let's go.
This Yorkie is probably the poster child for Yorkies, and then everybody feels like they've been falsely advertised to.
Yorkies are one of the hardest breeds to train. Like, I would say they're harder to train than Chihuahuas. Fair. In my experience.
Yeah, that's fair. But in 1944, during World War II, an American soldier was in a jungle in New Guinea. Inside an abandoned foxhole, he found something moving. It wasn't a rat. It wasn't a mole. It was a tiny Yorkshire Terrier that was about 4 pounds. No one knew where she came from. She had no collar, and she was alone in a war zone. So the soldier, obviously, I would think that you're in like the fight or flight, like take care of yourself type thing, but also like you're serving your country. But he just couldn't resist. He could not resist this little bundle of joy. So the soldier took her and was just like, actually, I don't know if I can take on this responsibility. So he sold the Yorkie to another soldier for a few dollars. And that soldier was named William Wynn, and Smokey became his dog. So, Smokey, where did she live? Because obviously this is a tiny Yorkie. People were on the move. Yes, they had camps and stuff like that. And Smokey did stay in the tent, would just hang out in soldiers' backpacks,
As she should.
on airplanes, in jungle camps. She slept in a helmet or a blanket and followed Wynn everywhere. So her home was basically, wherever the army went.
To be fair, I think that if the Russian military can travel with a bear, which we talk about in the episode of Animals Where They're Not Supposed to Be, then this Yorkie, no problem.
Seriously, though, even though the bear was, like, intentionally, like, the intention of them was to carry, like, heavy loads and stuff like that, it's like, what's the point of this Yorkie, and why didn't it get sent away? Why didn't it get shooed out? Even if the soldier bought this dog, what's stopping, command from saying, get rid of this thing, right?
Well, I mean, war's a hard time.
Well, yeah, but they have to travel quietly. They can't have a dog barking, and, acting a fool and stuff like that.
Well, if she was quiet, then I could see it easily being like morale's low, but this little tiny little girl comes in, she's like the cutest little thing, and everybody loves her.
Well, yes, but at the same time, when you're in the middle of a war, I could understand them being like, get rid of her. They don't, but I could understand it because it's like a liability. But like you kind of already said, she didn't bark very much.
Which is crazy for a Yorkie.
That's why I kind of wanted to emphasize on it, because they're like, it's Yorkie.
But also, we don't know where she came from. And like, if she was just like hanging out in the middle of the forest, she probably realized really quick that like she needs to be quiet because she's gonna get got if she doesn't.
True. The officers are just like, as long as this dog is out of my hair and I don't notice that she's there, then like whatever. And she did just that. She would just chill, pretty much. She would follow Wynn around the soldier, around like at his ankles, but other than that, that was pretty much it. As she started becoming well known around the camp, though, or in the battalion that was traveling, they said that she became kind of like a boost of morale. And then later on, she was going to be needed for a military operation that only she could do.
Okay.
It was a pipe mission. This is pretty much the moment that made Smokey famous, right? A mission took place at Northfield, a U.S. Army Air Force base in New Guinea that was set up during World War II. The base was used for B-25 Mitchell bombers and other aircrafts. It was a part of a campaign to shove or push the Japanese forces out of the Pacific Islands. Having a runway for a air base is vital, right? And to have a successful runway, you have to be able to have communication with planes that are coming in and out, because how would you know if they're friendly or unfriendly from, different areas, right? That you need comms. And the problem was they needed to try to figure out where to put the communication wire. They needed to put it in the ground, but how are they going to successfully get it in the ground without drawing a whole lot of attention? Because if they dig a pipe, a hole for a pipe that's about 70 feet long, aerial-wise, it'll be very noticeable, and you're going to get pew-pewed and bombed to heck, right? So they had to think very, very, very smart. They were able to get the pipe into the ground. I'm not 100% sure how, but they're able to do it without having to draw too much attention. And the hole was 8 inches wide. How are they going to put a line through a 70-foot pipe without being spotted?
Well, it's gotta be the Yorkie.
Exactly. So a human couldn't crawl through it, obviously. So they started training Smokey. You said is the hardest dog to train. They were able to do this within a couple of weeks. She had like a little harness, and they were training her to just walk directly to where like the voice was called from like long distances. So that's how they were training Smokey to do this. So the day comes when she needs to go through the pipe, and they lower her in. They get positioned on the other end, and they start calling her name. She hears it, and because pipes aren't done like super professionally, especially in World War II. So there was a lot of debris, dirt, claustrophobia, that has to do with this hole. And she makes it all the way through. And they were able to successfully set up the communications line, which helped them significantly during the war for this specific mission to drive the Japanese out. So they're saying that pretty much the entire base was saved because of this Yorkie, because they didn't end up drawing a whole lot of attention to them. I'll buy a 4-pound dog. A 4-pound
That's so
dog
sweet.
saved a whole lot of people. Now, they do think that other things that Wynn trained her to do, like, helped. She didn't know, she knew, like, the basic tricks and stuff like that, but Wynn, like, just for fun, taught her how to walk on a tightrope, taught her how to play dead, and taught her how to salute. It's so cute.
There's probably no videos. Ugh.
No, there's no videos.
Is there pictures
no
of
videos,
her
just
saluting?
Or maybe did paw on the head. Just
so cute.
It's probably so cute. I wish. But she ended up going into combat. After this mission, they're like, oh, she got it. She can go with us literally anywhere. So she flew on 12 combat air missions, survived several air raids, lived through all the typhoons that were happening, because remember, they're in like the Pacific Islands, and she didn't run away when soldiers were being attacked. She would just try to comfort the injured and lick wounds and stuff like that. And Smokey became one of the world's first therapy dogs.
That's really sweet.
Yeah, she kind of kickstarted therapy dogs. She visited wounded soldiers in hospitals, and she would lay with them. They would let her pet him. She would do tricks in order to try to like make them laugh or giggle. It's said that her contribution to the wounded warriors helped them have something to look forward to, because right now all they know is pain and fear and unbelievable homesickness. So, you feeling, and there's a lot of studies behind it, you feeling optimistic can help your body in a very, very, very positive way, right? Like, if you see in the movies, like, stay with me, think about this, think about that. Or if you're in an emergency and the EMT is like, focus on something that makes you happy or feel good or makes you smile or think of something that you're looking forward to or something like that, it's because that chemical release in your brain can calm the body in a very positive way.
I've heard that, like, I think I watched this on a documentary somewhere, where these doctors were talking about the people who are most likely to survive cancer are the ones who are optimistic.
Yeah, like, it's insane what certain chemical releases can do for your entire body, your whole body. Like, happiness is medicine is like not a lie. It's good for the soul. Not, I mean, soul, but like, it's just really good for you. But anyways, so after World War II ended, Wynn brought Smokey home to the United States. she became a little celebrity. She made a couple television appearances, and this is early television. She would go to wherever they would request her or ask if she can show up to show her tricks. And she visited numerous hospitals. People loved her because she is the cutest by far military hero of our history. But she was, I don't know, there's like I can't explain what the feeling is, and maybe you can, but thinking that something so small can overcome something so big, kind of like Cher Ami, you know? Like, if they can do it, I can do it type thing. Or if they have strength, I can have strength. She was a very, Smokey was a very inspirational little gal. She lived to be about 14 years old. And when she died in 1957, she was buried in a small box that once held a helmet, just like the one she used as a bed during the war.
Stop it.
It's so sweet.
Stop right now. I'm going to cry by the end of this episode.
It's so sweet. It's so sweet. I'm tearing up. It's so sweet. Yeah, they just buried her. They like rolled her up and put her to like she looks like she's sleeping in her little
I can't.
helmet. I know. But today there is a memorial statue of Smokey near Cleveland, Ohio, at an area called Lakewood Dog Park in the Rocky River Reservation area. So her memorial statue is over there, and I'll insert pictures, of course. But yeah, that's Smokey.
That's really sweet. And you know what's really crazy?
What?
My last animal also is extremely inspirational, and you may cry.
Oh, yay!
But not because of like bad things, but because like it's just so sweet. Okay.
Yeah.
My last animal. Her name was Winter the Dolphin. December 10th, 2005, a baby dolphin was found tangled in a crab pot line in Mosquito Lagoon in Carnival National Seashore in Florida. A woman named Teresa Jablowski received a call about 9 a.m. about this baby dolphin. She worked with a company that would often rescue marine animals.
Okay.
It took her about half an hour to drive to the location where this poor little baby dolphin was. And when she got there, she called the Clearwater Marine Aquarium, which was approximately 3 hours away from where they were. So it's basically like the full length of the not the panhandle, the
I know what you're talking
Florida.
about.
Yeah, they needed teleportation. What the heck? We all need teleportation.
What? Did you discover teleportation during your research?
No. So they needed transportation.
They needed teleportation. So they went to Walmart.
They needed teleportation. No, so they needed transportation. So they ended up calling basically like SeaWorld.
Okay.
Yeah. And they were like, hey, which was about an hour away from where they were.
Okay.
And so they were like, hey, can you send one of your rescue vans and bring it to the Clearwater Marine Aquarium? They were like, okay, sending them now. So a little while later, around 1 p.m., so from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., this little baby dolphin was in the water, like, suffering. But the woman who went to go rescue her, she said that once they got her into shallow waters, she put, like, a wet towel over her to make sure she didn't get sunburned, and the dolphin, like, rested in her arms. So she started to feel, like, comfortable with this person. They ended up going to the Clearwater Marine Aquarium, And they arrived there after it was already dark. So it took a while for them to get there. And they immediately put her in a pool.
Right.
And they realized her tail was not going to make it. They had to amputate the tail fin and 3 vertebrae.
Oh, that poor baby.
I know.
How will she survive?
It gets so inspirational. So, they named this baby Winter, and she slowly became an inspiration for anyone and everyone who met her and learned about her. So, Winter started to learn how to use her tail without the fins, basically. Dolphins, they use their tail like this, right?
Yeah.
She started to use her tail like this because she didn't have fins, which really messes up dolphins if they do that for too long.
She's missing, like, yeah.
Her caretakers were worried about the long-term side effects, but for right now, she's comfortable, she's happy, and they tried to, like, keep her as healthy as possible. Enter Kevin Carroll, an Irishman who worked at Hanger Clinic Orthopedics and Prosthetics. He heard the story of Winter, and he wanted to help, but he didn't know how, because no one's ever made a prosthetic tail before for a dolphin. But he's like, I want to do it. I want to make a prosthetic tail for this dolphin so she can live the happiest life she can. He ended up creating the first ever dolphin tail prosthetic. But the biggest issue was, how are they going to get it to stay on Winter? Because, like they could use glue, or they could use, it couldn't be too tight because then she'd lose circulation. There were so many things that could go wrong with this. But Kevin Carroll ended up going to his colleague, Dan Strumka. Dan was actually also an amputee, and he is the CPO of this company. They put their heads together and they come up with a product that they ended up naming Winter's Gel.
Oh.
And yeah. And not only did they test it, they tested it on Dan to make sure it would work and it was safe. So this is like one of the first products, if not the first product ever, to be tested on humans before animals.
Wow.
Yeah. So they found the perfect formula and they tried it on Winter, and it worked. And she started thriving. They would put this tail on her, and she would start using it the way her tail, like her body was
going
built.
like this instead of... Okay.
At first, she did have a little, trouble, but she learned really fast because dolphins are really smart.
They're so smart.
She was having such a great time. She ended up being such an inspiration, not only to the people that worked with her, but kids from around the world would see her on TV or see news about her. And there are a lot of kids that are amputees or were born without limbs, and they felt so discouraged that they were not like other kids. And it seems to be a common trend with kids who were amputees or kids who were born without limbs. They feel different and they feel discouraged. They feel like they don't want to wear their prosthetics because it makes them even more different, and but they watched Winter the dolphin. I'm gonna cry. They watched Winter the dolphin learning how to use her new tail, and it made them feel so seen, and they're like, if this dolphin can do it, so can I. She's just like me. And so she became, oh my God, I'm gonna cry. So she became like a beacon of light for these children around the world. And people would come and see her. Oh my God, I'm gonna cry. Winter even had a best friend in this aquarium because she was deemed a dolphin that couldn't be released back into the wild. Because she wouldn't be able to survive.
Yeah.
There was another baby dolphin that came pretty close to time that she came, maybe like a year or two later, that dolphin they named Hope, and she was found trying to nurse off of her dead mother. So they brought her in, and she was raised in this environment. So she was also deemed unreleasable because she wouldn't be able to
She
survive.
was raised in yeah.
So they became best friends, and they hung out all the time. And people would come from all over the world to see both of them. And then in 2010, at the age of 5, Winter starred in a movie called Dolphin Tale about her life.
That sounds so familiar.
I definitely watched it as a child. You probably did too.
I probably did, yeah.
But it was basically her story. You just have to go watch it. I recommend it. It's a really cute movie.
Okay.
There was actually a sequel that Hope starred in. So they're both movie stars and besties. It's really cute. Unfortunately, in 2001, at the age of 16, Winter passed away. She passed away from intestinal torsion, which is where her intestines got twisted. It ended up causing an infection that made her she ended up passing away. But she's still such an inspiration, and her legacy is going to live on forever. And Hope is still at the Clearwater Marine Aquarium if you wanted to go visit her. But yeah, I think it's a really sweet story, and I really want to cry because all of those children found hope within their own life because of her.
I don't think we've ever gotten so emotional during a recording,
because it's
before.
It's so sweet, and animals are my soft spot.
Yeah, and children, obviously, especially those who just feel like they're just so
Right.
I don't even know the word. They just feel like they just don't belong,
outcast.
or think that they're the biggest mistake, or something's wrong with them. It. You can tell them all day long, but it's one of those things, it's a lived experience. They need to see that somebody else actually understands, physically understands what they're going through.
Yeah, and I think seeing this dolphin overcome their struggles really helped so many kids. I'm sure she helped adults too, but it really impacted children.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, that's Winter the Dolphin. They have a memorial for her, I think, at the aquarium. And you can still go visit Hope. She's still thriving.
How old is she now, do you know?
Around the same age. Well, now she would be older than Winter was, because it's 2026 now. But yeah, she would be. Yeah.
Oh, that was such a sweet story.
I know.
All of these stories are and the thing is too is that the common theme with all of these animals is that they weren't supposed to be famous, but they became famous for just doing what they felt was almost instinctual,
for just being themselves.
Yeah, literally just being themselves.
Let that be your lesson for today. Just be yourself.
Just be yourself.
You're appreciated just as you are. Oh, I love Winter.
I need to go cuddle my cat now.
Yeah, I
Just
need
be
to cuddle
thank
my
you
dog.
for just being you.
I don't know what I would do without my dog.
Jamie and Freddie are literally
inseparable.
He's
literally outside the door right now, and he's so mad. He was barking. I don't know if you heard him earlier.
I heard him. But him's just a boy.
He's just a guy. He's just a little guy. I'll put pictures on the screen. Bah, 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 bah.
Yeah.
I have a lot of pictures of him. He's really cute.
Yeah, he's actually adorable.
I would love to see all of your pets. So go ahead and put pictures in the comments.
Ooh,
Please.
yes, please let us see your
pets.
babies.
I
Show
wanna
us,
see
like,
cats.
literally, I want hundreds of comments just being the
Mhm.
pictures of the pets.
I want
that
cats.
in.
I want dogs. I want lizards. I want
Birds.
frogs. Birds. I want raccoons if you got one.
Ferrets.
Foxes.
Chinchillas. Like,
You
all
got a
of them.
cow? Let me see it.
Let me see your cow.
Let me see your cow. You got a llama? I need to see your llama.
I actually really want to see a llama. I know some people have pet emus too, if you have an emu.
Emus scare me, but I'd love to see a picture.
From a distance. We're a distance, so.
I actually saw a TikTok the other day. This woman, I think she works on an emu farm or something, and she was like, she went up to the camera and she's like, hey, I'm gonna pretend to faint and see what my emus do. And she like backs up and then like goes, ah! And then she just lays there and like 4 or 5 of them come up to her and one is like picking up her hand and like we're like pecking at it, and then one of them starts like fully pecking at her head and she sits up and she's like, you guys would eat me? I think that they were just trying to check on her, but I thought that was really funny.
I need to see that. You need to send that to me if you ever find it again.
Also, honorable mention, I thought about doing Neil the Seal. Have you heard of Neil the Seal?
Oh, yes.
He's wild. If you
Yes.
don't know who Neil the Seal is, he is, I think it's in New Zealand. He's a seal that just comes on shore and wreaks havoc on everybody. He'll just come and just lay in the street. He attacks traffic cones for fun. He will chase you around. Like, he's a menace to society, but in the best way. I thought about doing that, but I was like, nah, I want to do like inspirational ones. But Neil the Seal.
My honorable mention, it's called the Dramatic Chipmunk.
Okay.
I wanted to do that one just because it was like a viral meme where this prairie dog just like turns around like this and it goes his eyes are like all wide. It became
I've seen
super
that one.
famous and viral. So that
I use that
chipmunk
gif
is still
sometimes.
I was about to say it just goes. Just but that's probably like a more modern day famous. It was just a perfect timing. Somebody was videoing, prairie dog was turning around. Yeah. So that was an honorable mention for me, for sure, because it was hilarious.
So, okay, here's your homework. Give us pictures of your pets. I want all of them. Also, I would love individual pictures of each pet, and then a group picture if you have multiple. Okay.
Okay.
And then, if you feel so inclined, if you want to talk about any other animals that are famous that you want to talk about, just write in the comments. Teach us something today.
And other than that,
drink your water. Take care of yourself. I'm sorry if I ended up making you cry with the happiness of winter.
Happy tears, of course.
Happy tears. And if you're in Florida, near that aquarium, go visit Hope.
Get going. You can say hi to her for us.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot. I got engaged, y'all.
She got engaged. I didn't know if you wanted to mention it.
I got engaged.
She's engaged. Hell yeah.
Okay.
He liked it and he put a ring on it.
Yeah, he liked it. And I got a ring because of it. So, enter Beyonce. Other than that, guys. Yep. Take care of yourself. We'll see you guys next week. And it's going to be a fun one.
It's going to be a fun one.
Goodbye.
Definitely not doing that.
You know the song.
Country boy, I love you. Bye, guys.